Is your practice tired of wrestling with insurance denials, deciphering EOBs, and watching your revenue slip through the cracks? You are not alone. Welcome to The Claim Game, the podcast designed to cut through the confusion and provide you with the best practices for revenue cycle management success. We are Jeremy and Catherine Zug, and we've been with people just like you in the trenches. Each week, we'll break down complex billing processes, share real-world solutions from practices like yours, and ask questions of the game makers and changers of healthcare so you can take control of your revenue. Let's turn those claim denials into deposits and help you return to focusing on patient care. It's time to win the claim game.
Well, Shannon, talk a little bit about, for anybody who's not familiar with who you are or might not be familiar with the Wellness Center, share a little bit about your practice, your mission, and what inspired you to start your practice.
So I started in 2014. I was a provider that started in 2005 originally and worked with community mental health / private practice. A lot of the private practices at that time were run by psychologists. So I did community mental health in my hometown community and saw the benefit of being able to provide services to the underserved in that way. We had done a loan repayment program through a federal grant that really emphasized the being able to bring providers into areas that have service shortages, and there's a lot of need in rural areas, and how do we get providers down into rural areas? So that I was really trained up in that philosophy of meeting the needs of the community, providing the same quality of services to areas of the community that may not have that access that they would have in urban areas, and just maintaining that professionalism and the ethics of doing that and being with people. So that's how I was raised up. And then the heart of my business is bringing forth the 8 dimensions of wellness and teaching people that our mental health is just one aspect of coping with the world and with problems and so on and so forth. But we need balance across the board. And how do we educate, access resource? How do we connect during times where there are those problems, financial problems or educational problems or intellectual problems or whatever that might be, rather than shaming or ostracizing or just kind of pushing away? How do we embrace change in those areas and create balance and support in those areas so that that has an impact on mental health? And then we can come into our more authentic self and be balanced and healthy.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, where are you located? You talk about rural areas.
Yes.
Where is the Wellness Center located?
So we're south of KCMO, Kansas City, Missouri. We're on the western side of the state. And so Kansas City is in both Missouri and Kansas. KC, Kansas, KC, Missouri. We have practices now in 3 areas, 2 that are closer to the city. And then Harrisonville, Missouri is a rural designated area. It's just outside of the metro. And so we also have an office in Overland Park, Kansas, and in Greenwood, Missouri. Greenwood is kind of it's a small town that is just set outside of the metro as well, but it's surrounded much more with resources.
Yeah. I mean, my folks live in Missouri, so shout out to Missouri. There you go. I've never heard KCMO before, so I'm going to start folding that in. That's a lot of locations. How many clinicians are you currently managing?
We have 15, and we're getting ready to hire 2 more provisionally licensed therapists. So we're considered a mid-level practice, I think.
Goodness gracious. I mean, and so managing all those takes a lot of calorie burn. What's the most rewarding part about managing a practice of this size?
I think the moments of, albeit rare, the moments of being with. So doing life with people, staff that have a similar vision that I have, doing life with our clients. So just that presence and being with, and the intentionality and coming alongside of people in their journeys.
I love that. Are you still seeing clients?
I am. Yes, we're at a we've had some transitions, some unexpected and some expected. And so I actually ramped up my caseload in January. It was a mistake. Yes, I feel that the Lord was saying, you did not listen to me very well. But we had a huge turnover with our admin staff. And there was a week where I had no admin, and I was the one talking to these clients and getting them set up. And I don't say no very well. And so there were clients that I didn't have a place for them except for my caseload. I was the only one that could see them based off their insurance or based off their.
No way. Wow.
Yes, what they were asking for. And so I am seeing 35 clients a week right now. I am working against my own philosophy.
That is a lot, Shannon.
Yes.
That's a lot. That's like community mental health kind of caseload. But even community mental health would be like, you're 5 short,
Right,
So,
right. Exactly. That is not the heart of my business. I don't recommend it for anybody. And at the same time, it is a testimony to how stabilized we've become that I could actually step away from regular ownership processes because I do have a good infrastructure in place now, thanks to you guys.
Amazing. Well, thank you. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we get going. But I mean, that's a lot. I feel like as a leader, you do what you have to do sometimes. And sometimes that means seeing clients, and sometimes that means stepping into roles and working late nights and that kind of thing. I'm sure it's exhausting. Is the plan to get out of that at some point again? Like
yes.
sort of like ramp back out?
I've been thinking about it. We're trying to hire fully licensed people, which is a lot more difficult than at least in our area. Everybody wants that percentage pay or to be a contractor 1099. And we went through some early things establishing our infrastructure because I wanted to do it right. I'm very much what are the rules? I want to follow the rules kind of person. And so I'd self-reported to the Division of Employment Security because I couldn't get a straight answer on 1099 versus W-2.
Oh, wow.
They audited my business. They kind of treated me like a criminal, even though I was the one who reported. But I learned at the end of that if you are a therapist who owns a therapy business and you are having therapists come do therapy work with your tax ID, that is an employer situation, employer-employee relationship. They were very clear about it. I have about this thick of paperwork about how they came to their decision.
Okay.
And so it kind of sets us up a little bit more difficult path, but a very clear path.
Nice.
Anyway,
it sounds like it's better, not easier.
Yes. Better, not easier, because people think they want to make more money, and they think the way to do that is to get as much of that billable hour in their own pocket as possible. And there's just so much naivete about that in regard to what it takes to run a business and to oversee all those processes and all the people that you're paying to do all these different things. And anyway, it's okay. But my plan out is to be able to hire a few extra people that can take on this caseload and also learn how to say no.
Amazing. Oh, those are great goals, Shannon. Yes. I love it.
Thank you.
I think Warren Buffett used to say that your success is directly tied to your ability to say no. And I think that was a really wise thing to say, because I think you need to say yes to.
That's good advice to live by. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, he's from Nebraska, so I feel like he's part of like where you're from.
Kind of that Midwest, yeah.
Yeah.
Figuring stuff out. Mm-hmm.
Like a hardy crowd almost. But
yes.
Yeah, and a lot of practice. So that's a great nugget right there. So I had a question about the audit that you went through. Was that what they outlined for you? Was that a Missouri specific conclusion, or was that like a countrywide, this is the law?
My understanding would be that it is Missouri specific. So every state is responsible for establishing their own rules, so to speak, for contractor versus employee. My initial starting place was to fill out the 21 factors, I think it's called, with the federal government. And so I filled that out, sent it in, and they sent it back to me. And so I called to inquire, why didn't you process this? And they said, we only process complaints. And so we sent out this form when there's a complaint about your organization that maybe you're not doing something right. And I said, well, how do I get an answer? Well, you need to consult with an accountant or with a lawyer. Accountants and lawyers interpret the law just like everybody else. So why not go to the law enforcers or the lawmakers to say, like, okay, what are the conditions that you're using to decide this? So that kicked off a long process. It was 3 years later that I got an answer because I self-reported. I was like, okay, if that's the only way I can get an answer, then I'm going to file a complaint against myself.
That's crazy.
Yes. I'm pretty non-traditional in my approach to things. So.
Well, no, you're not crazy. That's right. Wild that's how you had to get an answer.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean,
it's silly.
My goodness.
Yes. It's kind of a silly thing because we've outsourced our HR. So I even have an HR guy that's like, I get why you're doing this. I understand your story. And also, like, the interpretation generally is this. And so it's very interesting. It's very interesting. So
goodness gracious. Well, what an ordeal and what a valuable process you went through. Does that make you less afraid of those kinds of audits?
It does. I feel very secure in how we have our systems set up. Wow. It's frustrating that other people don't set up their systems that way, though, because it's a little bit harder of a road. We have all of these new therapists coming up that want to start their own practices or that go into group practice, or other group practices that have an edge on hiring that we don't have because they can pay this percentage that people think that they want. And it is interesting. It's interesting. So every day I remind myself that this is what I wanted. I wanted to do it right. And I'm okay with following rules that I know or that have been communicated to me. It is this way. And also, I like being able to provide benefits. It's one of my values to be a helper. So that means helping staff, and helping means providing benefits and providing care and making sure that they're cared for. So I have to remember that sometimes when I'm managing that frustration.
Well, Shannon, I'm convinced that business owners, like marriages, go through a 7-year itch.
Yes.
As a clinician, you understand that, but I'm like, every 7 years, it always feels like, all right, what's going on here? It's like, is the grass really greener over there? And then it's not. But yeah, that's good. People that listen to the Claim Game, part of why we built the podcast is to talk about administrative hurdles. So you and I met at Wise Practice Summit. Shout out to Whitney.
Yeah.
So if you haven't registered for that, go register. But back then there were some administrative hurdles. So thinking back a year or two, what were some of as a business owner, it's always something. You're always jumping over some kind of hoop. But what were some of the hoops that, looking back over a year or two, were some of the hurdles you were experiencing then?
So 3 years ago, we had administrative turnover, some personal belief differences. And so I lost my administrative team because they felt that there were some influences on me that were impacting how I was approaching the business. And so there was a mass exodus there. So we had in-house billing. We had 3 different people approaching billing. So we had, we were doing our VOBs, our verification of benefits, and our eligibility and benefits checks is what I learned they're called. And we have an estimate of cost process. We want to let every one of our clients know what they're getting into before they receive services. So we established that. And so we had some front end things. We had the processing of payments and all of that. And then we had back end things. So like denials and managing those denials and processing ERAs and all of those things. And so I was paying 3 people to do that work. And then they all left.
No.
So I had gotten on Facebook, and there's a lot of horror stories with billing companies. So
there are. Yeah.
At that time, I'm trying to keep my business afloat, keep billing going with my rudimentary knowledge of, I had a baseline knowledge of, but just enough to be stupid, I know how to do this, but I don't know what it means.
That's good. I like that.
I've gotten on, I don't know if you're familiar with Barbara Griswold.
Yeah.
So navigating.
It's an OG for sure. Shout out to Barbara.
So I had accidentally bought this is a long story, Jeremy. I'm sorry.
No, good. No, cook. Yeah, it's good.
I thought I was buying something about claims processing. I can't remember what the list was actually called, but I thought it had something to do with processing claims or understanding claims or something like that. It was actually a list of billers. And so I was like, okay, well, I paid $15 or $30 for this. So I'm gonna this. It was a God thing, and I got connected with a biller out of Washington, who was very much systems oriented and black and white, and we follow the rules. And so I loved that, especially after seeing all of the horror stories. Right. Well, we found out that we were doing supervisory billing with insurances that didn't allow it. And so that was like total gut punch because I'm a rule follower. I don't want to do anything wrong. And she fired us. And so because of that, and the interesting thing was our billers were calling. They weren't using Availity. They weren't using any other systems to verify benefits. They were calling on every single insurance, which that is hours and hours and hours.
Oh, it's a ton of work.
Yes. And so the customer service reps that they were talking to would say, yes, we allow supervisor billing. So we had that notated on every single client at United Healthcare. I don't know if I can say that, but I'm going to.
Sure you can. Yeah.
The one that we were getting yeses on repeatedly. And so we hired this biller. She looked at the contract, which is always a smart thing to do.
Know your contracts. Yeah.
Know your contracts, know your manuals. And she said, you can't do this. And so that also meant that we were going to have to transition probably, I think there was a list of 100 clients that we needed to transition to different providers. Yeah. It was awful. It was awful. Now, some of them stayed with us as self-pay, but it's just a horrible feeling having that conversation.
Oh, yeah.
She fired us because she did not want to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
So here I am again, trying to manage my own caseload, trying to show up with my family, and trying to figure out billing. And now I'm even more afraid because what else do I not know?
Yeah.
So yeah, at that point we were just really it felt like a perfect storm, right? Everything all at once. I don't know. Yeah, it was very stressful. So I had signed up for the Wise Practice community.
Yeah.
Actually, I had signed up for that or had been getting advertisements for it probably 5 years before I actually.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was just really good timing, whatever Whitney was advertising at the time, just getting connected with a Christian community, a community of business owners. And I felt like that was something very much missing in my life. I know business owners, I know other therapists, but I don't know other therapists who are business owners who are also Christians. And so it was just a missing piece. So going to that, like the Lord was answering prayers and questions over and over and over again in that one conference that I had been praying for years.
Whoa, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Up to and including, I don't know if you remember, but my father-in-law was sick. And so even having that conversation with you, because I was getting ready to walk away from that conference of like, well, I still don't have a biller. And that's one of my main problems. But having that conversation with you, and then the time that you took to connect over my father-in-law meant a value, right? That's the value of our business, is to slow down and connect with people and to walk with them. And the fact that, was it your mother-in-law you had?
No, it was my mom, coincidentally, was watching our kids at that conference, who is a social worker at the VA. Yeah. And so it was like totally providential that that connected. So it was really cool.
Yes, it was really cool. And it did help us a lot through
that's great.
The remainder of his life. So that was really
cool. Wow. So yeah, those were the operational hurdles. And I feel like even from the beginning, the get-go, the goal for you was never to outsource. It was always like to bring it in. For you, it makes a lot of sense. It's economically cheaper. You can kind of control things a little bit more.
Yes, have your hands in, hire people that you know. Yeah.
Totally. They're in the community. And then like there's an office, you go knock on, you're like, hey, what's going on with X, Y, and Z, which totally makes sense.
Yes.
So fast forward, you're finally at that spot. It's in-house. It's you're rocking and rolling. So you accomplished that goal. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And that is that hits multiple value marks for me too, because it's my husband doing it in-house. And that was also I had reached out to you on a limb of like, would you guys, your people are so kind and
Oh.
compassionate and knowledgeable. And it was the first time in a long time that I felt like, even though I hadn't met them like in person, or I had met a couple at the conference,
Hmm.
the one Stephanie Story that is working with me, and then Laura Luna.
Yeah, Laura. Shout out to Steph and Laura. Yeah,
You
they're
guys have
great.
the best, yes, they have the best names.
Me too.
But the heart and the teamwork, like I was part of that team, right?
Mm,
It wasn't like we're performing a service for you, or you are a service provider, or I'm just paying you this money, right? It was we're doing this together, working with our the clients, serving our community. So even though like I think most of your people that were on our team are on the East Coast, so even though that or in the eastern states,
hmm.
it was like they cared about our people, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was such a different experience. So on a limb, on a whim, whatever.
Yeah. You had emailed me about like, hey, this is our thought. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, we do that. I wouldn't have felt emboldened, I think, to ask anybody else other than you of like, would you be willing? But it, again, because of that
Yeah.
work that you put in initially, I think to connect and relate and understand our story.
Yeah, I mean, and you guys have such a unique story and a huge impact in Missouri. It's very exciting. It's been our absolute pleasure to partner with your practice. We want to see you continue to
Grateful.
impact the community and focus on mission over margin, right? Because that's a big part of what group
Yeah.
practices are facing right now is do I have to choose between mission or margin, staff or budget? And that's not necessarily a choice you have to make. And we
Right.
don't want you to have to make that choice. And whatever lever you need to pull as a business owner to not worry about that dichotomy is really important. Now, your husband is doing the billing now, and he did not have a billing background, right? As far as I can tell.
No, no. Now, he had been in facets of the industry, not necessarily the billing industry, but the insurance industry. So he'd worked with Transamerica processing life
Oh, cool.
insurance
Hmm.
claims. And then he went from that to Social Security about 20 years ago. And it's like a benefits, it's called a BA, benefits authorizer. So
Hmm.
he's familiar with digging into something. They have, by the way, an 8-month training for work for Social Security in his job.
Goodness.
And he was one of the last that was hired that didn't have a college degree. So,
Whoa.
yeah, 20 years ago. And so it was a huge benefit to our family because his stability with that job let me start this private practice. And so, but we were in two different worlds. So he kind of understood there's a framework, there's a system for processing claims, and has that kind of muscle memory established, but really didn't understand until training with you guys that there's different rules with different companies and different ways of coding things and all
Yeah.
of these things that can be really puzzling.
Yeah. Well, it can feel like a game, right? I mean, it feels just like I don't know the life insurance world as well or social security as well as I perhaps ought to, but it's a different world, right? I mean, the rules are disparate, they change, right? Like just today, Aetna sent out an email that was like, our two PO boxes are gone. Here's the new one. And it's
Yeah,
like,
I saw
well,
that too.
yeah. So yeah, exactly. It's like, what are you talking about? And I would doubt that Transamerica or the Social Security Administration has changed their mailing address ever. It's like it doesn't happen. Was that an easier map for him coming from those backgrounds to healthcare claims? Or was it a little bit of a heavier lift than he thought?
I think it was a little bit easier map for him than someone who doesn't have any background with insurance or like maybe reading
Mm,
instructions to like in our case reading the manuals and the contracts to kind of know when to use which modifier and what billing codes to use. So in the Transamerica days with life insurance, he had to study and learn all of the different ways of coding health problems.
Oh my
and
goodness.
understanding that. I don't know if he actually used it, but so he did have a little bit of muscle memory. He just didn't know it. And
Mm.
so as he's listening to Karis, and one thing that he said with me, so I took 2 days off of seeing clients and just sat with him and we looked at each one so he could start creating repeatable patterns. And the confidence, even just after sitting with Karis, then practical application with me, it clicked, right? Like, so I want to think that maybe he already had a little bit of that muscle memory
For
established,
sure.
but he just didn't know. So he needed the confidence to apply it.
Yeah, somebody like him, he's sharp as a tack.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
that's not everybody, but he's very good. And especially in the claim world, right? There are rules, there's systems, and billing is not hard. The hard part is getting the right orientation to direct your activity to make sure that it's efficient.
Yes.
I do feel like because he was accustomed to some level of bureaucracy,
Mhm.
red tape,
Yes.
he can like pick that up. It's like what's the backdrop, what's the worldview, and then we can execute. This episode is brought to you by Jane, a practice management software and EMR built to support you in the day-to-day work of running your practice. If you're a health or wellness practitioner, you already know the care you provide starts well before your client arrives and extends far beyond the treatment room. Jane is there to support you in every part of that experience. With online booking, your clients can book at a time that works for them. And with features like notifications, they'll even be able to grab last minute openings when they pop up. It's an easy way to keep your schedule full while getting your clients the care they need. During your appointment, Jane's AI powered documentation feature can help you thoughtfully take notes so you can stay present with the person in front of you. And after appointments, you can end your time together on a healing note, not a transactional one, by charging the card on file. To learn more about how Jane can support you and your clients, head to jane.app/demo. And one last thing, if you're ready to get started with Jane, you can use my code in the show notes for a 1 month grace period on your new account.
Mhm.
What has you excited over the next 12 months at the Wellness Center? I mean, what's the growth plan look like? What's like really got your blood pumping?
I feel so much hope now. Again, there are prayers that have been answered. There are things that are coming together. We're going into 2026
Mm.
more solidly because of the amount that you all were able to collect consistently for us. So I kind of know on average what those numbers look like,
Mm.
whether we're hitting them or not, but also what the ingredients are to hit those numbers. And
Mm.
so having my husband do that with me and his buy-in and the processes that Karis taught us, like those spreadsheets, and here's how you know what you're doing essentially, or what your workflow needs to be, uh,
Mm.
is also really helpful because I didn't have that. It's kind of fly by the
Mm.
seat of my pants, and what squeaky wheel needs to be oiled or what fire needs to be put out, kind of thing. And so now we have a systematic way of approaching it with confidence. And then there's that doing with. So what I'm really excited and hopeful about is at the last conference that Whitney had, I learned that my business is completely dependent on me.
Mm.
100% for referrals, for establishing processes, for enforcing processes, for like all of the things. And so my husband recognized that within the first 2 weeks of working for me.
Whoa.
If something happens to you, the business is done. So Brett could move forward. My husband could move forward billing for this company, for just about any other company at this point, thanks to the training that he received with you guys. But we wouldn't have a company as a family for him to bill for anymore.
No.
And so I'm excited because we have stabilized with our employee billing. So our team is billing enough for us to pay down quite a bit of business debt. And
Nice.
that will let me back off of a caseload so that I can begin establishing other structures and consulting with
Mm.
other people who are experts like you guys, who are experts in what they're doing, so that I can create a system that works and teach somebody that system that works, or several somebodies, so that
Mm.
the business is not me dependent. So I'm
That's awesome.
excited about that, but also then it means more being with and more room for creativity and more room for connecting in my community, just to I guess I always think of it as like taking a hike with people, and like you're there for each other and you're experiencing things together. You're not walking for them, you're walking with. And so
Nice.
I'm hopeful about that opportunity to walk with.
No, I love that. I love that. Are you guys using AI in any regard to help move things forward? Oh, the eye roll. So no. Are you a big like?
We are. I feel as a human being, I feel torn.
Okay.
Right? What are the implications in our world of AI? My husband is a big science fiction fan, and he also he loves physics and metaphysics and like all of these, like the processes of that. I don't understand these podcasts that he watches, but I love his energy watching them. And he'll break it down for me to understand. I don't know if you know this, but a lot of the individuals that had a hand in developing AI have abandoned ship because of fear related to the impact of the ongoing use of AI, and that the fear is that at some point there won't be a way to contain it, and so, or control it, or that the people that are in control of it, we get into conspiracy theories there. What really broke my heart is my son, who and his girlfriend are very tuned into environmental impact of things. She's actually going into environmental law at some point, after she graduates. She wants to be an environmental lawyer, and he's going into anthropology, archaeology. And so he's just very interested in just the impact that humans have on our social environment, on our world, so on and so forth. So that being said, when I told him we were using AI for assisting with generating progress notes, the look he gave me, Jeremy.
No.
And he very kindly, very thoughtfully talked about the cost of AI. Very expensive to run those systems, have whole buildings, large buildings that contain AI right now that they need to be cooled.
Water.
Yes.
With a lot of water.
Yes. So the use of water in that. Now, what I came back to him with is that is an opportunity. In Florida, there's a business that has built kind of resort type experiences inland, away from the ocean fronts, where the water goes in to cool the system and then comes back out as a heated pool, beach type environment. And they're charging people then to come in with memberships where they can be beachside, so to speak, have that experience in heated pool systems. So there is a way to kind of harness that energy in a responsible manner. Anyway, but it just broke my heart because our teenagers, our young adults are learning so much more about the impact of AI than maybe what I'm exposed to as an adult, unless I research it further. So anyway, I'm torn. I'm also torn about what is the impact on our critical thinking skills and our writing skills and things like that if we're using this irresponsibly. We need to have balance, like with all things. We can't just let AI do our thinking for us 100%, but can we use it as a tool to help enhance services? Therapists spend so much time writing notes sometimes that it pulls away and is very distracting then from being with in the session. And my clients come because they want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to be known, they need to be known. And so if I'm, scribing or typing my notes in order to keep up, or I'm feeling stressed out because I'm not able to keep up, then with all the documentation that goes into that, then am I showing up for my clients the way that I need to? I've also learned AI with billing, like sometimes you can get answers faster by asking ChatGPT a question about like what are United Healthcare's rules in Missouri for this, that, and the other thing. What are their modifier and coding expectations? And that is so much faster than the research we used to have to do in order to find
call, send an email, wait forever, have to report yourself and get audited. I mean, it's a
yes.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like your son would be a really interesting guy to have on and talk about this stuff with, because he's not wrong. The unintended consequences of innovation are always present.
Yes.
But then in our field, there's a lot of friction. There's a lot of administrative friction that can be solved with AI. So how do you balance those out? And I think the last study done was a while ago now, so this number is probably bigger, but something like $900 billion of provider time is wasted on billing and administrative related cost. And so like if a truck showed up to KC Mo with $900 billion in cash, it'd be a huge block of cash.
Yes.
So we can do things much better. We need to do things better. So I hear him. And then it's also like, how do you weigh the pros there?
Yes. Yes.
Man, well, it sounds like a really exciting future for you guys. If somebody wants a job with your practice, are you hiring still? Are you always hiring and growing the business?
So we're not always hiring. We try to be very strategic about it. I hired 2 new provisional counselors because we do have enough Medicaid flow, more than enough. Again, living in a rural area, there's a broader demographic there, much more impoverished, out of balance in that way. And so we want to provide good quality services to clients that have Medicaid, the same level of care that people with wealth can access. So anyway, so I hired the 2 provisional licensed people. I need 2 independently licensed people. And that way we can take those commercial plans, because I don't know if this trend is happening everywhere, but we're getting tons of couples referrals. Of course, we build out as family therapy, and we, as you know, it pays less.
It's so funny. It's like, how would you think?
I don't understand, and we definitely need to lobby for reimbursement for family therapy. But anyway, that being said, we're getting a lot of couples referrals. We're getting a lot of older men asking for services. And these are not people I want to turn away, because it's so hard to get that demographic in. So I need people who can take Medicare. I need people who can take commercial plans and who have a heart for service in that way. And so I just haven't found the right people yet, but we have an opening in Overland Park for independently licensed, Overland Park, Kansas. We have 2 openings in our Greenwood office. And at that point, we'll be full. We'd have to get into more office space, and I'm not quite ready to do that.
Well, if you're a clinician looking to get hired, call Shannon if you.
Yes,
those
please.
are your.
Look up our website. Yeah, see what we're all about.
Yeah, what is your website? Let's we can shout that out.
It's www.twccllc.com. So it's just the first letter of each word in our business name. So the Wellness Counseling Center LLC.com.
I love it.
.net.
.net.
Yes, that's very important. Yeah.
Nice. Well, we'll put it in the show notes for sure.
All right, good.
If you were sitting across from a group practice owner or somebody who wanted to do group practice ownership or is perhaps struggling, what would you say to them? What would be some of the advice you could give them?
So I would start with validation of the overwhelm that most group practice owners feel, and even individual practice owners feel, is just sitting with them in the grief of, this isn't what you expected when you set out to do this. Because I think a lot of our overwhelm comes from, I am now spending more time doing things that I didn't expect to have to do, or to figure out things that I didn't expect to have to figure out. And I don't know that you can prepare somebody for that. It's like trying to prepare someone for parenting. You can't, you don't know what you're going to get. It's a mixed bag. So validating that overwhelm, some of the grief, those feelings of being stuck in some ways, and just sitting with that, that therapy talk, let's sit with that for a moment and just pay tribute to what your experience has been. And then also work towards envisioning, where do you want to go? So what is it that you want to change? And what are the resources available to you right now that can help you with that? And then, it's the same old thing of like, I don't like this saying, but how do you eat an elephant? Right?
Yeah.
I don't want to eat elephants, but one bite at a time. So it seems like a really big, overwhelming problem. Where can we start? And let's just take one step at a time, and bring that back into your value system. So using your values, that values-based living, what can we do with this particular part of the problem? And when we come into alignment with our values as business owners, things become a little less overwhelming, I think, because at least we know we're operating within our values. The rest will kind of come together over time, in time, with when you begin knowing what resources you need to help you through. I think so often we're trying to reinvent the wheel or do something different or make a ton of money like right off the bat. And that I don't know that that's realistic.
As a bad goal.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Money is a bad goal.
Yes.
If that's what you're focused on, you're going to be really unhappy for a very long time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're just going to hustle. It's always going to be a hustle. And so, and that could meet some value points for some people. It just that doesn't work for me. My husband always says, like, you're not running a charity. And I'm like, but I am.
No.
I have a service heart. I'm not taking money to my grave, So I want to know that I lived well. And how I know that I've lived well is, have I honored the relationships with the people around me? And there's lots of ways to do that. Paying well is one of them, but that's not the only way, right? So,
well, paying well for the right people.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yes.
There have been organizations throughout history. Mayo Clinic is one of them. They don't pay the best, but they are the best, right?
Yeah.
I mean, part of why you'd work there is not for the money. It's because you want to work with the best doctors on earth. And so, and that research, that's not even mine. That's Jim Collins and Bob Lazier did that research. And so sometimes the value is not in what you get paid, it's who you're with. And so that is the compensation in some sense for why you would work with a certain team, is who you're with. So
that's right.
Keep that in mind, folks, as you move forward. So it doesn't all boil down to dollars. It boils down to the whole package.
The whole package. Yeah.
Oh, that's very exciting. What would you have told Shannon? Would you say you got started? 2006 is when you got started. What would you have told Shannon in 2006?
Okay, as a new provider in 2006 is that you don't have to do it all. You don't have to do it all yourself. Wait for the right resources to come along. Be patient. Be patient. I'm not good at patience. I have an idea and I run with it. And that my husband teases me a lot. He's like, is that an idea or a plan? Right? Do you have an idea or do you have a plan? And so, because there's some really great ideas, but even great ideas fail if you don't have a good plan. And so that's probably what I would need to take back to 2006 Shannon, is to know the difference between a good idea and a great idea, and a good plan and a great plan.
I love it. It's great. Well, thank you so much, Shannon. It's been our absolute pleasure to work with you and your team. You all are fantastic and doing really important, meaningful work. So other than the website, is there another place where people can go to get more of what you're doing?
We are not so good on our social media, so it is our website right now. And
Nice.
That is another goal for 2027, is to reconnect with some people that we had met in at the last conference, because they focus on that SEO with social medias and and content development and things like that. And so I think we'll be ready to make that investment by 2027, and we'll see. A lot of our referrals come in through personal relationship. And so I haven't had to invest a lot in that area, but that's why Overland Park has not been doing as well.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, too much competition there and not enough SEO work. So yes, so it would be through our website, direct email. There's contact us buttons all over that thing. So
perfect.
Yes.
No, I love it. Well, yeah, thank you again, Shannon, for being here and telling us a little bit more about you and your practice. And
pleasure.
Well, I'm so looking forward to seeing where you all go in 2027. So we'll be in touch.
Thank you, Jeremy. I really appreciate you all. I'm so grateful for the work that you do and making this a possibility.
Amazing. If you enjoyed today's episode of The Claim Game, please take a moment to leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts. It really helps new listeners to find us. Make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing to The Claim Game on your favorite podcast app. Your feedback means so much to us. We want to provide valuable education about revenue cycle management. So if there's something we didn't cover in our topic that was a burning question for you, please let us know so we can try to get you the information you desire. You can find the links to all resources we mentioned in this episode in the show notes. And if you want to dive deeper into our resources, we have two places you can do that. First, you can go to our blog at practicesol.com/blog, where we have 8 years of educational blogs. If you want to learn more about what Practice Solutions does, reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Just go to practicesol.com to learn more and to connect with one of our awesome people on our team. Thanks for listening. We are Jeremy and Catherine Zug, and this is The Claim Game. See you at the game table next time.